How are we feeling this morning, Leaf Nation? But before we get to the Maple Leafs, it's the top 5 fantasy D-men in the game today. Let's get this paper.
You're Locked On Fantasy Hockey, your daily podcast on fantasy hockey.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
With the hockey world abuzz, you're tapped right back into your daily source for fantasy hockey, NHL news, and betting breakdowns to put a little bit of extra cash in that pocketbook. It's the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast Saturday special. And ooh, baby, we've got the playoff vibes flowing today, Steele, and we're hyped up to talk about the top 5 fantasy D-men in the game. If you've missed 10 through 6, tap into the channel, smash that subscribe button, and don't miss a single episode. We're going to get to Dallas, Winnipeg as well. We're going to talk about the Toronto Maple Leafs pushing it to the 2 best words in sports, Steele, Game 7. We'll get there as well. But the top 5 fantasy D-men. I think yesterday's episode, a lot more discussion to it, a lot more intangibles. However, the top couple of names on this board are cemented, but who are you looking at number 5?
At number 5, I know you had Jake Sanderson, I believe, at number 6 or number 7. Yep. I have him at number 5, and neither of us even had him in the top 10 going into last year. He deserves to be in the top 10. I personally have him at number 5 because I loved what I saw from him in the regular season, and I thought he was the best player for the Ottawa Senators in the playoffs. Shutdown defenseman, really good with his stick in his own zone, jumps into the play, knows how to quarterback the power play as well. 57 points, obviously a career high for this young man, 22, soon to be 23 years old. He's very durable as well through the first 3 years of his career, has only missed a handful of games every single season, so he's always in the lineup. The stats just continue to rise. 195 shots, career high. 163 blocks, career high. 38 hits. I think he can add more physicality into his game. Like I said, on the power play, he had 25 power play assists with 5 power play goals. So 30 power play points for the young man. And I just think he's so good in his own zone, but he knows when to jump into the offensive mindset as well. And I think that's what makes him a difference maker and is going to be a difference maker for the Senators team for a very long time. So I like what I saw from Jake Sanderson. You had some excellent points on him yesterday. There's really not much more to be said. Like I said, I'm not going to butter his biscuit too much.
And I think today's episode is going to be short and sweet for this list because we have covered some of these players already. I've got Evan Bouchard at 5, and before I touch on that in a second, I also want a piece of this Ottawa core real bad. Headed into next season, yeah, of course, they fell short in the postseason, but no one really expected them to get by the Maple Leafs this year. That's just not their time, but the needle is pointed in the right direction. And they have an excellent young core, and Jake Sanderson is a big reason why. They were the 11th best team on the power play last year, and I expect those numbers to go up. I believe you and I spoke about his power play numbers last year, and he was an overall, I think you mentioned to me as well, top 5 in fantasy points by D-men in our leagues. So that is enough said right there. Look, I think you had Bouchard at 7 or 8 or something like that, and I get it. And this year, the numbers took a dip. And when you look at actually some numbers that don't count in fantasy but clearly impact his ice time and confidence, Steele, his giveaway takeaway numbers, 128 giveaways to 52 takeaways is really going to hurt your confidence as a player, and that will translate into his offensive game, which is clearly why you draft this player. However, 108 block shots, 32 penalty minutes. He also gives you a little bit of peripheral love. And my last point on this and why I have him at 5 still is because of who he plays with. And the power play numbers were down this year for him versus last year. 27 assists on the power play to this year, only 23. Goals on the power play, he had, let me see this. He had 8 last year, down to 3 this year on the power play. Next year, he'll be better. And this team is so loaded up front, Steele, that I can't pass him up. Last year, people were taking him like the 3rd D-man off the board. I think he's the 5th, 6th, or 7th. I'd be okay with that. In my opinion, too much value with the Oilers. Offensively, I'm taking him at 5.
I can't disagree. There's so much value with Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid, especially when you have him quarterbacking the power play. You know they're going to be running things on the man advantage. For me, I know you had Mackenzie Weegar lower. I have him at number 4 on my list for all those reasons you pointed out yesterday. He's been one of the most durable guys over the last 4 years. He's only missed 4 games. He's also the king of peripheral categories, 184 shots, 194 blocks, and 223 hits. And that's consistent over the span of the last 5 years as well. He's also an absolute beautician in his own zone. He has a career plus minus of 112. Only one season in his entire career has he been in the negatives, and that was back in 2018 when he was a -3. Other than that, double digits all the way. He can jump on the power play as well. He's got a rocket of a shot, and he lives in front of his goaltender, blocking shots, boxing those front men out of the area, and giving his goaltenders some clear views to stop those pucks. So I love the way he plays the game. Calgary, like we talked about, have been a little bit of an enigma, a question on what we expect from them.
I agree.
I really like what I saw from Dustin Wolf. I like what I saw from the blue line from guys like Mackenzie Weegar, Rasmus Anderson, obviously, who's been there for his entire career, and what Kadri brings to the table, what Huberdeau is now bringing back to his skill set as well. This is going to be a very interesting team. We didn't even talk about the Matt Coronado extended 6-year deal.
I love that player.
Fantastic for them as well. I'm looking forward when we break down the Calgary Flames team.
Coronado is going to slide onto that list of players that I would really like to get a piece of next season. I think we have a whole bunch of breakout candidates brewing, Steel, so get that notepad out, double circle some of these names. The Calgary Flames, the problem for me, and it's not even Weegar per se, it's that lack of offense. Last season, only the Ducks, Preds, and Sharks scored less goals than the Calgary Flames. They struggle on the power play. And if this team can even get a little bit more overall offense, I feel Weegar's offensive numbers are just going to come along for the ride with it.
Now they'll have a full year of Morgan Frost. They'll have a full year of Joel Farabee. Those are guys that we've talked about as well, alongside the top two that we just talked about in Kadri and Huberdeau.
Morgan Frost could fit the mold as a prototypical sleeper. Let me get one more guy off the list very quickly here at number 4. A player that I love so much, Steele, and you talked about peripheral category coverage. I know this year the blocks were down, the hits were down for Rasmus Dahlin. He only played 73 games. This guy was a first overall draft pick for a reason. I talked about draft status not really being the be-all and end-all of things, but this guy is the real deal. And only a couple of years ago, 73 points, 132 block shots. This Buffalo team, speaking of enigmas, I think this guy's values sometimes take a hit because of how bad they are in their own zone at times and no goaltending to speak of. This team will improve. That's only a matter of time. Still plus 11 last year, 54 penalty minutes, 200 shots on net, Steele, and nearly 70 points. And I think, check me if I'm wrong, I think he's just truly hitting his prime and starting to see what he can do every single year. And that's triple digits in blocks, triple digits in hits, 200 plus shots, and 70 plus points. And for that, he's top 5 in Cat Banger leagues, 100% in my opinion.
Every single year, he's top 5 for me. He's a little bit higher on this list, but no problems with him being at number 4, right there behind Mackenzie Weegar. He's the prince of peripheral categories. And I think the offensive with this Buffalo team is going to explode. We're going to get to that. The top 3 players for your fantasy hockey team, defensemen going into next season. After the break, big time bets, Dallas Stars, Winnipeg Jets, game 6. Big time bets coming up later in the episode.
And don't forget, we got to show some love to the Toronto Maple Leafs as well. You're not getting out of here with a little bit of Buds talk. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Wonderful Pistachios. If you're looking for a snack that's delicious and nutritious, crack into the good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. It's one of the highest protein nuts with each 1 ounce serving, 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value just like that. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you stay full longer. You need to be grabbing these delicious no-shell variety as well. Perfect grab-and-go snack for the busy days at the desk, on a roadie, or you just need a quick poop protein boost. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more today.
And thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review. Flip, I'm excited to see who's in your top 3 right now because I know who's number 1. Oh, you know what? I know who's in your top 3 actually because I had Quinn Hughes at number 7. So now I know who it is and who we kind of switched around a little bit. At number
3,
3
2,
for
1.
me,
Yep.
At number 3 for me, I have Zach Werenski. I think the season that we just saw with Columbus, with him at the helm on the back end as well, was very inspiring, very impressive from what we saw from this young core. Kirill Marchenko, Ken Johnson, Adam Fantilli, all those guys taking a massive step. Also Voronkov taking a massive step in their career at such a young age. Some leadership presence with Sean Monahan and Boone Jenner on in the top 6 as well. Zach Werenski is the guy on the blue line for this team. There's no question about it. And this was the first season that we actually got to see him play more than 70 games in a season since 2018. It's been over 7 years where these lingering injuries, fluke injuries, have really put a dent in his career in the National Hockey League. But 81 games played. He was a point-per-game player this year, 82 points, a +12, 31 penalty minutes, 298 shots. That's what you can get from this guy when he's fully healthy, and I expect him to be so and to do so for the foreseeable future as he's just getting into his prime at 27, 28 years old, 131 blocks, only 19 hits, which is a little bit of his game that you're not going to get a lot of. I think he could add to that. He's a very big defenseman out there, but the Columbus Blue Jackets were a top 10 team in goals for this last season. Right behind the Vegas Golden Knights, Colorado Avalanche, and Dallas Stars. This is a very impressive squad right now. And, unfortunately for them, they started I think they were on a 6 or 7 game losing streak towards the end of the regular season, which really hindered their chances of making the playoffs. But This is a team you got to keep your eyes on for. Fantasy Goldmine, definitely in the offensive side of things. Goaltenders, we're gonna have to dive a little bit more in depth on, because I'm not sure how sold I am on Merzlikins or Tarasov, but I like where the team's headed. I know our boy Troy out there, he's watching this episode, he's loving life, and he's excited for the Blue Jackets next season as well. So Werenski at number 3 for me.
And he should be. Look, I got Quinn Hughes at 3, Werenski at 2, and Cale Makar at number 1. And just to talk about, not to get down the Quinn Hughes path, because, you and I have covered it, the offensive upside, if he could do what he did last year with such a mess in Vancouver and being a bit banged up, I just think that offensive ceiling is so high. We got there. The Blue Jackets, however, Werenski, I just said, I think yesterday I said I want a piece of Montreal's young core. I want a piece of Ottawa's young offensive core. I want a big piece of what's going on in Columbus. And Denton Mateychuk on the back end, they've got Juracek coming up as a 6 overall pick. Don't forget, they also had, I think, what did Caden Lindstrom go 4th overall in last year's draft? They have some guys who haven't really even made an impact yet, on top of all those other players that we mentioned. Fantilli, don't forget about Chinnikov, Voronkov. Kent Johnson is a star. This team is going to be very hard to handle offensively, and I think that if they could figure out that goaltending steal, they're going to be knocking on the door for a playoff spot for a long time to come. Next year, maybe still some growing pains, but the next year after that, you should be going back to this team for regularity, for top fantasy options, and Werenski is right at the top of the bucket. You covered it all. The health is the only main concern with this player. What a beast season. He was in the mix for the Norris. If you had him this year, I don't know what his ADP was, but you were probably got him at a steal of a selection, and he was probably one of those reasons that you got that loot this season.
He definitely was. He was a big part for any fantasy hockey team out there. And I'm definitely keeping my eyes peeled for this player. And we're going to have to, again, dive into a little bit more depth of where his ADP was at, where he's projected to go this next season. But he's going to be one of the top defensemen off the board. Like you said, a changing of the guard, passing of the torch from these veteran guys over to these young players right now on the blue line. Number 2 for me, I'll make it quick, is Rasmus Dahlin. Again, peripheral prints out here, 101 hits, 98 blocks, and 200 shots on net. And that's only in 73 games. This is the first season we've really seen injuries kind of pile up for Rasmus Dahlin and kind of hinder his production. But even with that being said, still had 68 points in 73 games, his second best season in the National Hockey League. Banger League beauty with the 54 penalty minutes and the 101 hits. When he plays a full 82 games, there's no question in my mind that he can have close to 200 hits, close to 170 blocks, over 220 shots on net, plus 70 plus points on this back end. Again, the Buffalo Sabres were a top 10 team in goals for this season. The only difference was for me and why they didn't make the playoffs and why maybe the production wasn't as great was they were the only team in the top 15 that had a minus goal differential at minus 20. Every other top 15 team had a positive goal differential for their organization. And that, besides the Columbus Blue Jackets, who were at a +5 in goal differential, pretty much made the playoffs. So goaltending was a huge struggle for them, obviously. You know, a little bit disappointed in UPL and what he did this season. You know, maybe Devin Levi gets another shot this year behind UPL as well. I'm still looking forward to see what he can do. But Rasmus Dahlin, for me, I'm all over this guy. It's Mackenzie Weegar, Rasmus Dahlin, Moritz Seider. Those are my guys who I am always trying to target, who always go above and beyond. And those are the guys I'm circling. So if you're watching, if you're in our leagues, keep an eye and keep a note on those three players. And then, we both have Cale Makar at number one. There's no other person to be here. 92 points in 80 games, plays over 25 minutes of average ice time in the regular season. He's still only 26, 27 years old, back-to-back 90-point seasons. It's just quite impressive as well. Just one more point on Rasmus Dahlin before I go back over to you. This is 4 straight seasons of double-digit goals for him as well. He had 17 this year, 20 the year prior, and 15 3 seasons ago. So he's a goal scorer on the blue line. He's not afraid to shoot the puck.
Absolute stud. Love the kid's game. And if those Buffalo Sabres could figure it out just a little bit, they just have so much talent. And it makes total sense to me that they're a top 10 offensive team. A couple of years ago, I think they were top 3, and their power play was elite only a couple of years ago. And for the most part, the offensive unit is the same. A couple of intangibles there, but I think that this team needs to figure it out in a hurry because you're burning some really good years of Tage Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin entering their prime. You got to figure it out in a hurry. Just to touch on Cale Makar, let's not also forget, we talk a lot about the peripheral value of where these D-men play. When you play with Mac Daddy and when you were playing with players like, obviously, Mikko Rantanen not there anymore, but you still got Nichushkin, Landeskog back, Lehkonen, Marty Necas off a big year. That is a player that once again just continues to impress. So Cale Makar at number 1, that's locked in. Love the list deal. Quickly, before we get to tonight's bets, before we get to Game 7 for Dallas and Winnipeg, which is going to be a battle, we're alive, baby. We're alive, Steele. And you know what? As much as we're jaded, we're unhinged, we're Leafs fans that get upset, that was a good one. That was for us. Poppy Pop's one. They also, before we get too out of hand here, 61% in the dot, 31 block shots to 9. And they're finally, that is the team that we expected to see in games 4 and 5. And if they show up like that again, Steele, I'm not calling a game 6-7 victory. I'm not going to go there because it's going to be a battle. You heard Pacioretty. They're going to war. This is a team that they only allowed 2 shots in the slot. No other team has done that this postseason. So let's get after it. Credit due to the team. Got to show some love there, but I am hyped for bets. How were you feeling after Game 6?
Oh, I'll tell you how I'm feeling after the break. I was absolutely pumped, but we can talk about it after the break alongside Game 6 big-time bets of the Dallas Stars Winnipeg Jets game. And we could also sort of tee up Game 7 Sunday for the Toronto Maple Leafs and the Florida Panthers. Carolina Hurricanes, they're already waiting in the Eastern Conference Finals. Oilers are waiting for their matchup as well. All of that and more after the break. Once again, thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen every single day. Continue to smash that subscribe button, the follow button, leave a 5-star review for your boys here, Flip Livingstone and Steele Roden. We appreciate you out there. We love you out there. And thank you so much for tuning in for these Saturday special episodes every single day.
Yes, sir.
I was pumped, man. That was obviously huge W, Game 6, elimination game. Mm-hmm. You know, we hear all the noise. I don't even know if you saw that stat, but the Sportsnet put a stat out. Auston Matthews is the only player in the history of the NHL of scoring 400 goals in the regular season and having 0 goals past the first round. So he immediately just singes that right away. He pots one. I don't care if it was a little bit of a knuckleball, like maybe a little
No.
bit one that Bobrovsky missed. I thought it
No.
was pure goal scorer ability
5-hole,
there.
baby.
5-hole. That's what he does on that shot. It's
Yeah.
it's a patent move of his,
Yeah.
and where he goes. But love to see Auston Matthews get on the board. You love to get the monkey off the back, like the mindset there. Hearing all the media and fans, it definitely contributes. But to get that one is huge. Obviously, Max Pacioretty getting the insurance goal as well. But this is one of the things I wanted to highlight right here was Joseph Woll. Absolutely incredible all game long. And you know me, how I've talked about him just being good enough. I thought he was spectacular in game 6. And I wanted to throw this stat at you right here. Joseph Woll thrives in high pressure situations. He's now 4-1. He now has a career record of 4-1 in elimination games. And he has only allowed a 1.13 goals against average with a .958 save percentage in those 5 games. He lives and breathes for this type of high pressure situation. Getting the shutout as well after kind of getting shut out in their own barn in game 5. I know they scored a late one, but spectacular performance from him. And after the first period, I thought the Leafs played a really good game and took it to the Panthers.
You got the hair standing up on the back of my neck, pal. The 2 best words in sports, and it's easy and it's fun to say, but it's game 7. And
it's game 7.
I'm almost at a loss for words, which, for me is a rarity. So I said it before. I'll say it again. Just go out there and want it more than the other team. If you lose, you lose. Lay it out there on the line. Games 4 and 5 wasn't that. If they do it and lose, I'm going to be gutted for sure. But if they show up like they did in game 4 and 5, one of these TVs in this household is going straight out onto the avenue. I don't even care because I'm fired up. I'm ready for it, Steele. But I also said it's game 7 between Winnipeg and Dallas. It's game 6. Let's talk about it. I've got a same game parlay that I think you're going to like. And I just want to throw this out there about the Winnipeg Jets. 12th best power play in the postseason. Penalty kill, not good enough either. You look at the Dallas Stars, 3rd best power play, 3rd best penalty kill. If the Winnipeg Jets want to figure it out, 2 things need to happen, in my opinion, for game 6. Hellebuck's got to get over this road thing that he can't win a game away from Winnipeg. That's number 1. He's going to have to show up big on the road against Dallas, and they're going to have to be better on their special teams because that's what it comes down to for me. I'm going to go Stars money line. I'm going to go under 6.5 like I've been hammering all series long. It's only gone over the number 1 time and hit me with a big-time performer who's already proved when it goes to game 6, when it goes to game 7, the clutch moments already, how young he is. Wyatt Johnston, anytime point. This kid shows up in the clutch. I'd go Wyatt Johnston anytime goal for the spice, but in the same game parlay, I'm okay with the ATP.
I love the Wyatt Johnston prop right there. Obviously, the Stars on the money line. I'm hammering that too. I got 4 picks for yourself. For all of us out there. So I actually might add the Wyatt Johnston player prop as well. But number 1, Rupe Hintz, 2+ shots at -164. I thought he's had a really good series and really good postseason for the Dallas Stars right there behind Mikko Rantanen on that top line. So I'm going with the shot props here. Rupe Hintz, 2+ shots, -164. Mikael Granlund, 2+ shots, +126. I thought he's been very good as a depth scorer for this team as well. And I really loved the ad when they got him, obviously, earlier in the season. Mark Scheifele, 3+ shots at +182.
Ooh,
he's gonna have to step up in a big way.
I like that one.
You have to look towards your top goal scorers in Mark Scheifele, Kyle Connor, Nikolai Ehlers as well. I love the spice here. I love the odds. I can't believe it's at +182. So I'm jumping all over the Mark Scheifele 3+ shots. Stars money line at -152 as well. Parlay the 4 of those together. If you add some of Flip's picks in as well, you're going to get a higher odd. But for those 4 picks that I just mentioned, $10 pays out $154. So I love those 4 picks. I'm parlaying those together. I'm going to make a separate one with the Wyatt Johnston as well.
Can't wait to continue to talk playoff hockey with you, Steele. We'll be here all week long, 5 nights a week, 5 days a week. It's a little bit all over the map, but the point remains, we're here for you. 30 minutes in and out every single day.
every single day. Thank you so much for making the Locked On Fantasy Hockey Podcast your first listen. For your second listen, make sure you check out the all-new Locked On NHL Game Night. Every game, every night until a Stanley Cup champion is crowned. Get local analysis on a national scale. You can find NHL Game Night on Locked On NHL or on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. From both Flip Livingstone and Steel Roden, we wish you good luck with those bets tonight. Your favorite teams in the postseason, except for the Florida Panthers. And we shall see you back here again on Monday.
Go Leafs, go.